Welcome back to Switch to Linux. Well, today we are going to look at Nextcloud again, and my apologies for not getting these out earlier. I think I overwhelmed myself and I was thinking about one video to sync all of your calendars and contacts across everything, and it just kept on pushing back the video because of that. I'm like, you know what? Let's just do separate videos for individual devices, types, and how we are integrating. So today we're going to specifically be looking at one aspect of Nextcloud contacts and calendars integration with Linux. Now, the one we're going to cover today, we're going to use Evolution because it's one application that will work across every Linux distro that I've ever tested it on, and it works great. Now, it may not be the most streamlined if you're on a GNOME, Cinnamon, or Budgie. Using the online account system works deeply integrated, and that works great as well. We will have a separate video of that. Plasma also has its own system, although most distros don't have it set up right out of the box. So we'll have to maybe build that. I'm not sure if I'm going to do those as one separate way or not. I just don't know yet. But today we are specifically going to be looking at how to sync your calendars and contacts across your Linux devices using Evolution. So Evolution is my favorite email platform on Linux, and I use that, and I use Thunderbird. I have like 30 email addresses, guys. So with all the different email addresses that I have, I use Evolution for all my business stuff. Because it has exactly what I need, a unified inbox. I can sort things into folders by rules, all these types of things. And it has that older interface, which is exactly what I want. I do not like this new mailing interface for most cases. I do use it on Thunderbird to sync my variety of different other accounts. Just because those, it makes sense to isolate them by email account. My business stuff, it makes sense to isolate by folders, systems, and rules. But what else Evolution has is, just like Outlook, it has the ability to manage your calendars and your contacts. And so we have one application to manage your emails, your calendars, and your contacts. And we're going to be looking at the calendars and the contacts, syncing them with Nextcloud today. So we're going to be doing this on my Manjaro build because that's what I actually had available in my virtual machine already. And I've already come in here and logged into our Nextcloud instance. So this is my test user. I cut my contacts just down to 26 contacts. We didn't need to have 500 in here. So we have contacts down here. I did a previous video about how to do your contacts. We also have a calendar set up over here, and I threw some test events on the calendar. Here's Anther event. It should be another event, but you can see meeting, test event over here. So this is actually our web interface logged into our Nextcloud. So of course here is our Nextcloud instance over here. Up here we have our activity, our gallery, our contacts, and our calendar. So what we're going to do is you just need to install Evolution. Now, in some distros, you might need to install some other tools or whatever else. When we first boot up Evolution, it's going to ask me about setting up an email address. I don't have to do that. Again, this for me, I love Evolution, and Linux is just like, it gave me exactly what I wanted for an email system. But we have the ability down here to look at our contacts, and we have our calendars available. And this is what we're going to be using and setting it up. So let's go ahead and let's start with calendar because it's a little bit easier. With the calendar, just make sure that you have calendar selected over here, and then we're going to go to the file menu and hit new. And then you want to come down, fourth item down on my build just says calendar. So this builds us a new calendar. So here we can do calendars on the computer, or we can grab a variety of things. There's a web calendar you might find, a weather calendar, Google. We're going to use CalDAV. And by the way, this works the exact same way on iOS devices. I might do a separate video on iOS. I don't know. I might just tag this one as iOS. You use the exact same setup. In fact, it's easier on iOS. Click your CalDAV, and you might want to give it a name. So we're just going to give this a name of Nextcloud. And you want to pick a color. Since Nextcloud uses blue by default, let's pick a blue. I don't like any of those blues, though. I think all those blues are kind of ugly. So let's just go down here and find a blue that we can tolerate. So I'm going for something like that blue up there. All right, let's just call this blue. Now we can make this a default calendar or not. I'm going to go ahead and select it as a default calendar. So anytime I'm doing anything with calendars, it goes here. This way it goes automatically up to my cloud. Something gets added here, it goes automatically up to the cloud, and I can access it on my device as well. Which we'll talk about how to sync it to a device later. And then you can also copy calendar contents locally for offline operation. This is always a good thing to do, particularly on contacts, in case your Nextcloud happens to go down for a day or something, that you don't lose what you already have. This is just going to basically mean it's keeping a copy on your computer locally. In the event your internet's out, in the event something else is out, I always recommend turning this on. Now, under our URL, all we need to do here is type in the URL for our Nextcloud instance. So in my case, this is tlml.link, and that is all I'm going to need. I need to change my user to my actual username, so that is test user. This is your login for your Nextcloud account. The email, you want to set up the email if you are using it to handle invitations and things. I'm just going to go ahead and leave that blank for now, and then you can set a refresh rate. How frequently does it go online and refresh things? So you can go, let's go with 5 minutes. Automatically updates everything in 5 minutes. Click your Find Calendars. It's going to go online, and it's going to ask you for your password. So I have to manually type in my password just because it's on my other computer, not copied over here yet. So password is entered, hit OK, and it's going to search for resources, and then it's going to give me, here is contact birthdays and personal events. I'm going to go ahead and select the personal one here, click OK, and then OK. And then what we're going to see here is, now when we come down here to personal, we can see that it links all of our 3 test events there. And you can actually turn on or turn these off. Of course, if you were to turn on different calendars, different events, things like that, you could go ahead and add a variety of different web calendars and see a variety of different things. Maybe if you're on a board meeting or something. Somewhere on my channel I have a video about how to do that, I think. But this is how to get your calendar working. Now, contacts is a little bit, there's an extra step involved. I'm not sure why, but there is. I'm going to show you why the extra step is. So again, select your contacts, go up to your file menu. Under new, we're going with address book. And again, hit card dav, and let's go ahead and give this one also a name. We'll call this Nextcloud as well. Again, I'm going to mark this as a default. I can autocomplete with this address book, and I'm going to copy the content locally. Now, this one here, if you do just the Nextcloud build instance, it's not actually going to give us what we need. I'm going to show you what that looks like first. Okay, so here I need to enter my password again. So this is the step that might trip people up, might get you frustrated. So it's going to search the sources, and then it should come up blank, and that's not cool. So what you actually need to do is log over to your Nextcloud, make sure you're on your Context tab, and then down here there is a Settings. Grab your 3 dots here and copy link. This actually gives you the copy link for your address URL. It's the address URL you need here, not the Nextcloud instance. On Apple, it just is the Nextcloud instance here. But in this case, we have to copy this whole guy here. Now let's go ahead and rerun it. Since we've already entered the password, it will find our contacts, hit our contact button, and now push OK. And so now what we're going to find is personal, doesn't have anything. Click on down to card dav contacts. And now we can have our contacts are listed. So now we have our contacts listed, and they will be available offline. So if our Nextcloud happens to die, or if we go off the internet, our contacts are still in here, so we can actually access them. They will not show up here, but they will be over here. Now, if you need to delete one of these, you can right click and just hit delete. But in this case here, now we have our contacts and our calendars. So if I were to come, make sure I'm in here, hit new. Let's add a test user. We'll we'll call him Tommy Test. File him under user test and make sure we're under the correct contact. It should be, as long as we were in this one, then that is correct. And then let's go ahead, work email, test at tlml.link. And then let's do 888-555-1234. And I think that that's probably enough. Hit save. That should show up. I think that showed up under user/Tommy, right? So user/test. So he's right here. And so now if I come back over here, then that should show up. We might have to refresh the page. Let's go ahead and refresh the page, and that should sync up. It might take a few minutes. There he is. So now our test user is in here. So now if I add anything through Nextcloud, it automatically shows up on the computer. If I add anything to the computer, it automatically shows up in Nextcloud. So again, we'll find the same thing with the calendar. If we go ahead and just do a new event here, if I can remember how to do a new event, right click. Make sure you grab the right calendar, the blue personal calendar here. Let's call it a new event. It is going to be right here. Start time 9 a.m., end time 9:30 a.m., and go ahead and save current changes. So now that will show up right here. Now again, since it syncs every 5 minutes, it may not show up over here immediately, but let's go ahead and load it up. So it does. So here's our new event showed up. So now if you put a new event in Nextcloud, it shows up on your computer. Put it on the computer, it shows up in Nextcloud. So this system will work across any Linux system. You just need to install Evolution. And again, consider using Evolution for your email platform. It is awesome as well. But you have the ability now to sync your calendars and your contacts inside of this, syncing these in there. Of course, another thing I'll note, if you do want to make sure you have a backup of your contacts, which is always a good thing, you can actually come over to, let's see, I think it's under Actions. Oh, no, it's right-click on the contacts, and you can save as a vCard, and then this will basically give us a backup of your contacts very simply. So now you can have a backup of your contacts. If something were to go wrong, you can just re-import them over here into Evolution and send them up to your cloud in the way that we described in our previous videos. So hopefully this has been very helpful for you to get your Nextcloud syncing. Again, there's multiple ways to do this. This is my recommended version way to do it because I use Evolution across any system, no matter which the desktop environment is. I will have a separate video on GNOME, Budgie, and Cinnamon, which is all the exact same way. It's simply log in with the online accounts, but I'll show you what it looks like. And then Plasma, there is a way to do this as well. They do have an online account function. You usually have to install that. So we'll look at those options in a future video. So with that being said, thanks for coming along. Have a look at the rest of the Nextcloud tutorials and leave your comments as to which videos you'd like to see next, which devices do we need to see. Thanks for coming along. You can support the channel by having a look at the links up above me or in the description down below, and follow along on social media if you want more tips on how to use Linux in your daily life.